untrending truth about.
Hi guys. I don't even know what to call this. I'm with my mom, Vivian Parker. She is in Portland. I'm here in the South in Atlanta, and we are just coming to you. I don't like I said on these segments that I do with people outside of Untrend and Truth. I don't know what to call it. However, we called it, or I called it, a legacy session, just because I'm talking to her, just asking questions about, if it's when she was younger, being married, being the mother of 8 children. If anybody didn't know, I'm the youngest of 8. She did it. She popped us out. Um,
With the help of your dad.
with the help of our dad. Exactly. What did they say? Rest in peace. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say something soul, but anyway, God rest his soul. Anyway, however, I'm here with my mom. For some time, I've been telling her how important it is just to have like information and affirmation and an instruction for us, her grandchildren, and all the legacies to come. And a lot of us families just don't do that. So this is kind of me strong arming her. Is it, Mom?
Yes. Gently strong armed.
However, I believe that it's important, and I know that our family is great. My mom and dad did a great job, but there's nothing like greatness being misled or not knowing who they are or not knowing which direction to lead themselves or the next generation. So it's just been something, probably, I don't know how many years, but then the gentle, strong arm has been months. So here we are, the day after my birthday. Her baby is 47. Mom,
Yes. Go figure.
what does that feel like?
Can you believe that? It feels great in a sense, but it's like a reality check.
Yeah,
And on the other hand, because it doesn't seem like it,
yeah,
it just seems like life in a flow. So I can't say that I feel any different necessarily. I do feel that we're at a different plateau in our lives, all of
yeah,
us.
yeah.
And I'm sure we'll cover some of those things as we talk in this conversation. But personally, I don't feel, more, I don't feel negative in any kind of a way. I don't feel like decrepit or, I don't feel anything. It feels like just a great, exciting time in our life, of all of our lives. And so just to have a younger child that's 47.
Yeah, no, the youngest. They know younger.
The youngest, yes,
Yeah.
the youngest child that's 47, and the oldest grandchild that's going to be 40. Um, Keisha, she
Keisha,
is.
no, Keisha's 40. If
That's
I'm
what I'm saying.
47, we're 7 years apart. Her
Exactly, that's
birthday
what I'm
was
saying.
a few days or last week,
Yeah,
a few days ago. 40,
yeah,
40.
yeah.
Because
So it's
some of us are 7 years, 10 years, 13. You know what I
right,
mean? And I know she and I for sure are 7. She's
right,
40,
right,
which is
right.
amazing.
It is amazing, and so I don't feel anything really major, no earth shaking feeling. It's
That's
just
right.
like in the flow of life.
Yeah.
And it's a realization that time is moving on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think you just been blessed, even like myself and most of your children or whatever, just to kind of have a somewhat secure, favorable life. You know what I mean? And even when the tragedies, I'm just saying we haven't had even that many deaths in our family. Grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, you know what I mean? But even
Yeah. Right.
then, the camaraderie and able to come together and all that stuff during those times of
Mm-hmm.
tragedy, just it hasn't been that impactful. So it's really a blessing. And you, like you said, you just moving forward. Like life just keeps going on. It's nothing.
Right.
You're aware of it, but you don't feel it like that. Like I'm 47, but I also feel like I could be 27 or 32. Like
Exactly. exactly.
Seriously, like life
Yeah,
is good, and it's
yeah,
not, I don't feel aged or whatever. And I think a lot of
right.
stuff is hereditary or whatever, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with
yeah,
you. Okay.
yeah.
That wasn't even planned. None of this was planned, but I just want to start. I'm just going to start with some icebreakers, and then we'll go into this. Like I told my mom, just because of the questions, how I ask and what I ask, I just know this will go on to be at least 4 or 5, shows broken down, because I'm starting at random stuff. 18, when she got married to my dad, before she had children, to she's 81 now. And so there's so many different things that we will also want to be mindful for the
Oh my God.
uh, we also want to be mindful for the people watching, to where we have to just really segment it and just be, respectful of ourselves and whatever. Anyway, oh, I was gonna ask later in life or down the road. So, what is it like being my mom? My mom, me.
Your mom specifically?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I, I've
Challenge from day
apologized
one.
years after.
Uh, I think this is one thing that I kind of observed about you. You were the eighth child, and so all your siblings were born when I had some type of pain medication, right, for delivery.
Yeah.
And so by the time it got to you, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to have this natural. I'm not going to have any
Ah,
medications at all, and just see if there's a difference. And so
isn't it
when you were
ironic?
born, it was totally natural. I was in the hospital, but it was totally natural. But you personally were much more alert and much more, you know what I'm saying? And I think that was something because, usually if you have like a IV or something to help you through the contractions and the birth itself, I think that has an effect on that baby being born.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. It doesn't mean that you were that
Better
everybody else was
set apart.
slow. Excuse me,
Better set apart.
but
Chosen.
right,
It doesn't mean that. That's why I said, isn't it
it's like
ironic?
yeah. Well, I think that it doesn't mean that they were slower or anything, but I think that they were just affected
Different.
physically by
Yeah.
that being in my system,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're all individuals, they're all, like
Yeah.
really interesting people, but
Yeah.
you came out, I think, more alert and aware and, ready to move on, with your life. So
Ready to make you do this taping.
maybe that was just a little thing that I noticed, physically about each birth, because I was kind of like afraid of the pain in a way. And I
Yeah.
wasn't really brave enough to say, I'm
Yeah.
going to do this.
Yeah.
And I don't know how in the world that some of the other women in the generation just was maybe out in the field and dropped the baby and, kept on working
Well,
and
some
all that.
people have amazing births.
They do. They
We
do.
know
And
one
to
that
this day.
popped out to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Number 7.
Yeah.
No, yeah, number 7 on number 8. Number 7 popped out
Right.
2 kids, and it was like, oh, okay.
Right. Exactly.
That's not my
Exactly.
experience. I was in
Right.
labor 16 hours, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? However, what saved me, well, you were on 8, number 8, but what saved me was the fear. I didn't want an epidural. I didn't want to be paralyzed. All the stuff that I heard, whatever, I didn't want it. So
Yeah.
that part of the fear strengthened me. I didn't know how high of a how high is your pain tolerance? My tolerance is high.
Mine is not that high. I would say it's not unusually high or unusually low.
Right.
It's just that I was still, I was just like, I wasn't really brave enough, I would say, to make the decision to be without the assistance that
Medicine, yeah.
that it gave me. So, but then by the time it got to you, number 8, I was willing to take a chance on it.
That's right.
And I really wanted to see if there was a difference. I was curious at that time.
Was it a difference? What was the difference? Let's ask that.
The difference was like I was saying, you were much more alert, you know, and aware. I think not as a newborn baby as aware as you can be, but to me there was a tangible difference in the responses after birth. You know, I don't think anybody had to be slapped 2-3 times because they were, you know, affected by the medication. But it's just like a difference. There's I guess what it would be, some people would say maybe an intangible difference.
Yeah.
But a definite difference, you know.
What about the pain level?
What's that?
What about the pain level? The reason why you were seeing all that stuff.
The pain level, to be honest with you, by that time, I had so many children in such a quick succession.
Ew, Mom.
I think that my hips or whatever it was, the uterus was just like another episode for them. So
did I slide out? Was I oops, baby?
Oh, they said, my uterus said, okay, here we go again. Let's
exactly.
do this.
Again? Your uterus, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it no more.
I'm tired of this.
Exactly. Whatever. Your uterus had an attitude. That's where I came from.
Right.
Who needed medication? Your uterus had an attitude. That spirit.
Right. So
that spirit.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I know. Okay. So what time is it? We're trying to stay on track. We're trying to stay on track.
Okay.
So my first question to you, and I don't even know if it's an icebreaker, but it's still a good question, is your most memorable saying, thought, or thing for each one of your 8 children. And we're always gonna, if it's questions like this, we're always gonna go in order.
Oh, so, yeah.
Number 1, we don't have to mention names. Even if we do, we don't have to mention names like that. No.
Okay, so we can just say child number 1.
Yeah, we go in. Your own children go in numbers.
Right. But I have the question that I have is there a reason not to mention the name, or that's legal or whatever? Because to me,
it's just your daughter being private. You can mention the name.
Okay, so you don't want me to mention names?
No. That's just me. But if you want to mention the name, this ain't, like any other platform. You can mention the name. That's just me. So number 1 is.
Yeah, I would like to mention the name because
number 1 is
Brent. And Brent, being number 1, I didn't give him a middle name. No. And that was on purpose.
Oh, nice.
It was on purpose, but I think it kind of bothered him, through his life. But I thought that Brent Parker stood on its own.
It's a nice name.
I really do. And so I didn't think it needed a middle name, but to me, Brent Parker was sufficient.
Yeah.
And so, but you never know what effect a decision you make has on your child. So
absolutely.
But I can say that Brent was the most adventurous child we ever had. Is he's going to be 62 in November. Wow. But he has, through his life, is the most adventurous one. He was in the military. He actually was in there. He retired from the military, and he was always ready to go fly here, fly there, catch a short hop, that the military allowed him to go here, there. And so he's still to this day. When they were younger, we belonged to a group called Samaritans, Vacation Samaritans. Mm-hmm. And so he was one of the first ones, he and his future wife they went to Jamaica on a mission trip, and that was fairly young. He was fairly young at that time. And I don't know if that ever played anything in his decisions about, going out of the country or doing things because they worked in camps where they helped people, some of them, I don't know if he did this when they went on the mission trips, but some of it was like a staff building toilets, like outhouses and doing things in the community and,
creating
like
tools, creating
hands
lights,
on.
everything for other people too.
Everything for other people. And it wasn't a vacation. It was like the vacation Samaritans came from the fact that it was a 2 week or a 1 week or 2 week opportunity that you can go and serve.
How fun.
In another country among
that creates
other
a different person, Mom.
Excuse me?
That creates a different person.
Yeah. So to me, it was very important because it was like an exposure that he wouldn't ordinarily have. And so, but he was young. He was like teenagers. They were like teenagers at the time. And so, but I think his personality is a person that is not afraid to do something different, near or far. And so I like that about him. He's always been very quiet,
Yeah.
Not a person, a few words, but a real charming sense of humor, dry sense of humor.
Like Dad.
Like Dad, yeah. His was even more pronounced than his dad's.
Oh, his was way more hilarious than Dad because we didn't know how funny Dad was.
Right. So anyway, that was the oldest one. So you want me to just go ahead with the rest?
Yeah, and I can attest to that because Brent to this day is the biggest faith-based driven child of all 8 of the siblings because we have a sibling thread where we communicate pretty much almost every day with each other. And Brent is the one like, let's do it. Why not? Like whatever. Where it's like, but nothing has changed.
Yes.
So number 2.
Okay, Greg is the second child.
Yes.
And I have to tell a little funny story on Greg because he was a second child, but by the time we got to child number 3 and 4, Greg was the only one that started to cry when we brought a new baby home. Another one.
Does he? Go ahead. Just go ahead. Some things never change.
He seemed to always be concerned. He had this little worry thing in his forehead. And just like, it was kind of like, how are you guys going to feed all these people? I didn't know. And so it was just like the thing with him that it was so funny because looking back on it, it just was so funny. How would he even know to think like that?
Go ahead. Okay. Are you done with him? Let me help.
One of the sayings that I remember him saying is like, when he's telling you about something, his emphasis would be like something like a mug.
Too many kids like a mug. No, he probably didn't have it then. Are you done with him?
Yes, I think so.
So let me just give you the affirmation and the completion on that one as the youngest involved with my siblings. He is the same. He is the hardest Jamaican worker. Sorry, Jamaicans, if that offends anybody, but they are workers and they do what they have to do and nothing has changed.
Right.
It's we are born into who we are. Nature versus nurture changes us, but who we are is innate.
It's a God-given thing.
It's a God-given thing. Okay, number 3.
Okay, number 3 is Charmin.
No, it is not.
Number 3 is Karen.
Yeah.
Edit that. I wrote them down in the wrong order. Karen.
She has so many kids. She don't.
I know. It's nothing. Yeah. Number 3 is Karen. And Karen is very unique in the sense that she is real.
So sweet.
She is real. She will give you the shirt off of her back if she thought it was warranted. She is that way to this day, and she's you've probably heard her testimony already, but she is one of the sweetest children that I have, the one that's most concerned about everybody, the one that will stay in touch with everybody. Karen to this day almost calls me every day or texts or maybe twice a day. And this is like, she's always checking in, you know, wanting to say, you need anything, blah, blah, blah. And that's her personality.
Wow.
It's her personality.
Yeah.
And so one of the words that we know her for is like now. Now, what was I gonna say?
What was I gonna say? And everybody don't know that.
Everybody knows Karen.
For sure. I do that when you lose your train of thought, basically. Karen would be like, now what was I gonna say?
Right.
So that's just an ongoing joke that we have. My dad, my mom,
exactly,
and whoever knows. Now what was I gonna say?
Exactly.
It's real. It is
like,
real.
She's still that way. That's one of her terms today. Now what was I gonna say?
So let me go ahead.
Very compassionate, loving person, very she actually follows through with her concern for people.
That's right.
She actually does.
That's right.
What some people just talk about.
That's right.
And I really appreciate that about her. And so, yeah, she is number 3, my oldest daughter.
That's right.
My oldest daughter, and what an older daughter she is.
Absolutely.
And so she is the 3rd child, and the 4th child is Charmin. And Charmin, she is a person, I think, that learned through school.
Mom.
Yes.
Well, no, go ahead. I'm just wondering what you're going to say about Charmin.
I think that she learned through school. She made some decisions early on because of things she experienced earlier in her life, you know, like through school and whatnot. Some things when you live in your life with your children, you don't know how the decision, like I said, you don't know how the decisions you make actually impacts them. You don't know what their thoughts are. There's a lot of decisions that we made early on in her life that actually blossomed in her later life.
Yeah.
But in her early days, it was sort of like a stumbling block.
Yeah.
And I'll just mention 2 things that
Lord,
we talk about.
You gonna mention
one? One was sending her, making a decision after she got out of elementary school to send her to a private school. I won't call the name of the school. It's in the Southwest Hills.
Okay.
And so she went there. Oregon. She went there early, in Portland, in the Southwest Portland, out in the affluent area. That's why we sent her there, because she seemed to be very interested in learning. And so we wanted to continue that. We didn't want that to be hindered. Simply because at that time we had not a lot of faith in our own public school system at that period when we were rearing children. So we made a lot of decisions that, you know, to send them here, there. Most of our kids went to different schools. Exactly. And so that was a conscious decision.
All literally one way or another were shipped out, or was a private school.
Right. Some of our children, like the first 3, Greg, Karen.
Oh.
They were in one of the first busing programs that Portland had. And so Brent.
Wait, commercial break. Y'all watch Untrending Truth, which is on this station, but the original platform, and you'll learn about that busing out and the number 3 child, her whole story. Go ahead, Mom.
That's what I said. Every decision we make has a different effect on that child. Exactly. But Brent, Greg, and Karen were the 3 that were in the initial busing program that Portland had. I like the fact that I'll just digress here for a moment. I like the busing program that Brent went to, because he went to Lake Grove, and they had a pairing family. They had a family in that town, and then they paired that family with the child who was going to be bused, right?
Yeah.
And so that family that Brent was paired with,
got a new child
60 years ago, pretty much, almost 60 years ago, they're still friends today.
No, but that is strategic thinking. That is consideration. That is like heartfelt thinking, you know, because even if you're busing especially in Oregon, and at that time, these Negro children, all the way wherever it was, or in a whole different environment, and then to
Pretty different.
pair them or to really have that nest of a family or some type of
Mhm.
comfort is consideration. And that's
Right,
what I think, that's what the school systems and what our system, um, it wasn't all the ordinances and the regulations that we have now. It's some stuff
right,
still back then was able to be heartfelt. That, I mean, that's genius.
right. And I think for Brent being the first child, he went to school very early. He was actually not 5 when he went to kindergarten. I think
Yeah,
that affected him as
yeah.
well. So he has his own story
Oh,
about that.
whoa,
So,
whoa, whoa! Oh,
and
well, let's
he's,
back up. What time is it?
yes,
Let's back up. How do you think that affected him? So some other parents or moms could know.
I didn't know that it affected him like he did. He expressed to us later in life, I think maybe as an adult. Um, for me, it was like uh, his birthday was like November the 14th, which is the day before the cutoff. I mean, you can't even,
That's right.
you have to
Literally,
wait till the next year, right, to
literally.
go. He would
Yeah.
have been almost 6 rather than almost 5
Mm-hmm.
as a kindergartner. And so having maybe what, 4 children by that time, we made the decision that we would put him in kindergarten. And so actually what it did for him is that it made him always the youngest and being behind the older ones,
Oh,
because some kindergartners were almost 6 and he was
oh,
almost 5.
yeah.
And so he
Oh,
always felt that, you know,
yeah.
that younger than, less than, kind of like, I wouldn't say being bullied
Inadequate.
necessarily. Yeah, it's like never being caught up, to everybody
Oh,
else. Not only in like development, but
yeah.
in age, but development. A 6-year-old is different in development than
Yeah,
a
5 year. Almost.
four and 3/4 year old. You
I
see
mean,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So he expressed that that was a hindrance for him, or he always
Oh,
felt that
you
all
should
through
know
school
though.
growing up. So that was something that I'd never thought about.
You
And
should know.
I'm glad that he told us about it, but I didn't
Right.
know exactly how it was affecting him. But by the time he got to, that's why I say for him being connected with a family, see, that was another major decision that we made for Brent. Not only did he come, he was the youngest in every class that he went into,
Mm,
which affected him.
true.
But then the major decision to go out of his neighborhood, out of his comfort zone, out from
Honey,
his other friends to a totally different environment.
honey. It
Yeah.
changes your
So
life.
for them to be connected with a family like that, I think was a lifesaver for
I
him.
think
You
so.
know what I'm saying?
God knew what to do, because I think maybe later on when they discontinued, or who knows what happened, because see, then you have to think about, if that was in the 50s, 60s, or whatever, you also have to think about some children being let into someone's home and they were a molester. They weren't safe. They weren't good. So I'm saying usually rules and regulations and laws come out of mess.
Right,
You
right, right, right.
understand? But that's what he needed. And if he had a safe home and family that he's connected to today, that is what your oldest child needed. But
It is.
you did the right, you made the right decision, and I understand it. Now they would call that like reverse racism or prejudice or whatever, because you didn't trust our school system, which makes
Yes,
sense. I did the same
yes.
thing today with, my child. I get it. The difference
Hmm.
is she gets herself into the better schools, so she don't want to be
Right,
in the neighborhood
right,
schools or whatever. But at the same time, it's a blessing what happened for Grant on that level. And then
right.
you shipping all of us out, because the better education, even in our minds and in reality, is outsourced out of the urban community and away from us.
Exactly. And I think it's probably still the same. I don't think it's changed that much to this day.
Let me tell you,
But what's
real
that?
quick. I was gonna say, let me just tell you the difference and the other side of that too. My experience as a mom doing the same thing. When Khalees went from elementary to middle school, I got her into the school. She had to do like the audition, photography and whatever to get into the school, but it was not a neighborhood school. Her herself didn't keep up what it took to stay in that school. So she ended up going to the neighborhood school that I was trying to avoid, the black school, to be honest, whatever. But the black, the neighborhood school, because we live in the country in the South where we live is like just the country South. But it's a black school. However, her going to the black school 7th and 8th grade, best thing ever. Best thing ever. So I think no matter what happens, how it happens, God already has it orchestrated. Because she could have stayed at that other school and I could have thought I was doing something and it could have sounded good. But for her, me putting her in that school and her doing what she did to get into the other school, she wouldn't have the mentoring program, college, all types of perks and connections in the urban black school. So,
Right, right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. God orchestrates, and we're not talking about that now, but underlying everything, this life story is a relationship with Jesus Christ and leaning on him for your direction. No matter what kind of decision you have to make, you need the guidance of the Holy Spirit in your life so that you can function the way that you need to, because the Holy Spirit knows the beginning, the middle, and the end. And so if you develop that ability in your relationship with Christ to hear his voice and to obey, the problem that we have sometimes is sometimes we hear things, but we just kind of like push it to the background, to the back burner. And and there's consequences for those kinds of things. So as a young woman, a young mother, a young wife, I don't think that I always heard or always followed, what I always heard the Holy Spirit say, but I, tried my best, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And so that's the underpinning foundation of of anybody's life story,
Yeah.
right? Is who's driving this whole thing, right? Okay.
Okay.
So so now we skipped.
I
Sure.
know.
We,
Like, what just
we
happened?
skipped and we went
That's why I was
back.
giggling inside, like, what?
I know.
What we talking about? We talking about
so
bunny
much to
skins
talk about.
out,
What was I
or
going to say?
hold on. So what number? What we were on? Char? Only 3?
We were on Charmin number 4.
4. Who's 4 to
Right.
you in your mind?
Okay, so there was 2 things I was going to tell you about how I think what shaped her. One was when we did send her to a private, it was like basically, I don't think it was Episcopalian school.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
Very good academics. And so I wanted her to continue that from the school that she was at. Where, as a matter of fact, where I was working, right? I was working at that time in the school, and I had been volunteering in a lot of the schools that our children went to. I tried to go to every school.
Yeah, I know. We'll get to that later. We'll get to that.
That's another
later.
story. So I kind of knew what the system was like. And I had this idea, and I know it was a correct idea, that outside of this neighborhood, I know that there's more resources, there's more concern about an education, there's more effort, more expectations of students. And so that's what I was going for my children. And so that's what
racism, kind of, in a sense.
Kind of, and I didn't really think about the racism part. I just thought that.
So what would it
I think
be?
it was. Basically,
what would it be?
Well, that's what it would be, but I wasn't focused on that. I was focused more on
bettering.
They'll get a better education.
That's right.
Even if they're in the room, the teacher is they're going to hear the same thing that every other child is hearing.
That's
right.
And
so on the day that they were bused, the first day that they were bused out, my husband and I got in our car and we went to those schools and we met the bus when it got there with the kids. We didn't I wanted to see what they were coming into on the ground.
Yeah.
On the ground. So when that bus pulled up with all those Black urban kids on it. We were there, and some of the things that the kids have told me since that time, some of the things that they experienced and that they heard was different than what people would have said because I think because we were there, right? There might have been some kind of holdback on responses of seeing this bus full of, Black
Negro.
children getting on. So, but we were there to meet the bus because I wanted to know. I just wanted to know. So,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah, it was. And so I saw, but having gone out to the school too, I saw all the equipment and resources that they had just in the classroom. You know what I'm saying?
The difference.
It was different. It was different. And so, and if you don't expect a child to do good and you teach down to them on their level,
And that's
and
all
everything is labeled as ADHD. Back in that time, it wasn't that labeled so much. But being underdeveloped, or I'm not sure what the terminology was back in the day, but no, I didn't really buy all that. I still don't buy it to this day.
Thank God. Thank God.
I think people are over labeled, over medicated, over whatever.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't something that I was really going for.
God.
I wasn't going for that. Yeah.
Wait,
so,
what time, hold on. What time is 3:03? So
we haven't even finished Shar yet.
No, we haven't finished Shar. I'm figuring we probably get to child number 5. And then we're gonna do number 2. This is what I'm talking about. I was just letting her know, like when taping and when things happen, 52 minutes or whatever, some stuff seem, especially when you see stuff on YouTube, it can look like a long taping, but it's nothing.
It's not much.
Yeah, you're just talking, and it's 3:03 now. I definitely have to be done by 3:30. But
okay.
No, it's okay. No, we'll end probably on 5, child 5 or whatever.
Okay,
but with Shar, busting out, and what else? Was it 2 or did we cover it?
We did not. There was 2 things. The first thing, I didn't finish the first thing because the first thing was she went to a school where everybody was affluent. The parents had money. And they took trips. They took field trips. One field trip I think they went to. They were going to California, and so the thing that impacted Shar so much was that we didn't have much money.
She couldn't.
She didn't have any money, and I didn't know how that affected her because all those other kids had resources.
Yeah,
she was I would say poor. I don't like to say poor because poor, I think, is a state of mind.
That's right.
Yeah. And so she was the only child in her mind, and I'm probably sure she was right, that didn't have those resources, like to buy stuff, all those kinds of things. That impacted her. Another thing that I'm sure impacted her that she has told me about many times, she's told me these 2 things that impacted her many times. And so, but she's seen how it played out in her life and her decisions. The other thing was when she was younger, everybody was home, I believe. There was an older lady in the church that used to invite us over for dinner all the time. And so when this lady was living alone, her husband was in a facility. I would go over sometimes because she was in a state of herself where she didn't need to be there alone. She was having dementia. Who didn't call it that then?
We didn't know about
but
that.
She would leave things on the stove and it would burn. Just things that you should not be by yourself. Wow. She was in the house all by herself, and so I asked Shar. She said I didn't ask her. I just
right, exactly. But you asked her out of, at this point in time, 4 children. Why did you ask her? Well, I think it was more children by then.
It was more children by that time, but I don't know. It just fell on her. I don't know why I picked her.
I think, you know why I think? Because you thought she was the most responsible and she could handle that.
She was. Absolutely.
I'm just saying that's what you thought, and that's how that came about. I think that's one of the most pivotal or most instrumental moments that changed her and created who she is as well.
I totally feel, yes, I feel that. But at that time, she felt, like this is something she didn't want to do.
Yeah.
She felt isolated.
That's right.
The kids were at home. Her
That's
siblings
right.
were at home.
What
She was
she
missing
needed.
out on certain things. And so it wasn't really the best shining experience in her opinion. For her.
That's
right. But
as a parent,
right.
You made the decision because
I made the decision.
She would be the best pick out of Gray, Karen, and Brent.
Yeah, but see, you don't run all of those thoughts through the decision-making process at that time. So I just appointed her to do this.
Yeah.
And she was pretty stable-minded, not
she was who she is today.
Not flaky, yeah, still today.
She was.
And but those were two like traumatic experiences for her as a young child.
Yeah.
As a young person.
Yeah.
Maybe, but the rest, as what's the guy said, you'll know the rest of the story.
The rest is history. No, yeah. I think if we can tack on a little bit of another, would be the random Arizona trip in her head.
In her head? Some of you guys ended
up in Arizona, and she, pretty much, I think she wasn't prepared.
Okay, that's a third thing.
That's all this stuff is my head, because as a psychologist at heart, I always look at what creates people. And that's where probably my, not disdain or, comfort or, whatever ruffling of the feathers with you comes up of what creates a person. And so I think that would be another thing of.
I totally agree. And so looking back, and we've both looked back at these things. We've talked about this often with her. You look back and you look at those things and you go like, I'll just skip ahead and say this. I told her as an adult that has experienced a lot of things in her adult life, as an entrepreneur, as a this, that, or the other, that she is now very successful. I says, you can pick me later if you want for all those things that you were assigned to or things that happened to you. It wasn't my conscious decision.
That's right.
But some of those things were just life as you go along, as you move through.
You did great.
So the thing that you were referring to is the time that we decided to take a trip to Arizona, drive. Yeah. Okay, so in my mind, I had told everyone.
That's right.
We're gonna take a trip.
How we do sometimes as mamas.
Right. If you don't pack it, you won't have it. And so that to me was like putting the responsibility on them.
That's right.
To think ahead and see what you think I might need. Toothbrush, maybe deodorant, maybe this, that, and the other, whatever it is, extra clothes. And so for whatever reason, I think Char didn't get that message or didn't hear that message. However it happened, I don't know. But I know that this is another thing that really shaped who she is to this day. A very successful person.
I feel like
so we get in the car and we start going to Southern Oregon, and then we just keep going. We cross the border into California. So to make a long story short, she was really dumbfounded because she just thought maybe it was going to be a short trip and go home. But we kept going and we kept going and we kept going. And so as it happened, I think she had not packed deodorant.
She had a sweater on.
Had a sweater and whatnot. So what it ended up doing, like, she was unprepared, and it showed because it was like we were in a closed car, and hot weather in California, in Arizona, whatever it was. But anyway, to make a long story short, that's another incident. But I know that in God and his wisdom, he doesn't set it up so much, but he uses things that happen to us that we use in our later life. We don't even know it at the time.
I think it helped. I think all of those things created her to who she is today.
Who she is today, a very
It's
successful
not
woman.
Bad. It's just bad if you don't connect the dots and get it and heal from it. But
Yeah.
it was all who she is today.
All who she is, a very successful woman, and a very thoughtful person. She plans ahead. She's a business person.
Uh-huh.
She's an organizer.
She does
all of that
she does
stuff.
everything that my mom messed her up with.
She had made a business out of caring for the elderly.
She has made riches, right? From worry to riches. Not preparedness to riches, which is good. It's good.
It's good.
So you have to look up. You have to look at that stuff, and it's real.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah. So you come through that, and you come out the other end with these things that God has put in your life
to create who you are.
Right.
And your
purpose. You can do something with that, or you can do nothing with that. You understand what I'm saying?
And it's up to you.
You can be crippled because you have a pity. You know, you can. I'm not saying that anybody does.
That's right.
But I'm saying, but if we take those things that happen in our life doesn't look so great or feel so great or seem positive at that time, it could drive you to doing certain destructive things, or you can take it and make some good things happen out of that. Fortunately, this is what that fourth child did.
Yeah.
Successful.
She's probably
beyond her wildest dreams.
Yeah. She's probably your most successful child.
Yes.
Financially. Which is awesome. And that came from those situations. I feel and you feel it.
What?
My grandma? Come here. A little bit. Down, low. Just a little bit.
Who's that?
Khalees came and brought your cards that you ordered. No, come up here a little bit.
Okay. Oh my goodness, Khalees. Sorry. Oh, I love you so much. It looks so
come
good.
Up, come up.
I can't.
You can't come up.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. You genius, you.
Isn't she cute?
Okay, yes. Oh,
she bad. Right. Anyway, no, okay, not. Baby.
Thank you.
Okay,
please.
So Mom, we have about 4 more minutes. Believe it or not.
Oh my God!
That's my selfish wrap up time because number 2 is about to come get number 8, and so I can pick up my car. Okay. I know. Okay. And have some business.
We can pick up at number 5.
You want to pick up at number 5?
Sure.
Okay, so let me end on this last few moments. Let me end on right now, and we can pick up on this again.
Sure.
Like in a recap or whatever, with because we're asking the most memorable questions and sayings and things about each child. And she stopped on number 4, and that's where we're in.
Right.
However, hold on, let me see the questions that I have lined up for you.
While you're looking at that, I want to tell you one thing I remember her saying, "Hey, Ma."
Hey, Ma.
When she calls, "Hey,
Hi,
Ma." Hi, Ma.
Hi, Ma.
So when she's telling you something and she wants to hear your confirmation or not, she says, "Huh, Ma."
Huh. Right?
Yeah.
Ma, because you Ma. But to me, it's
right.
Huh,
Ma. It's like, do you agree? Huh, Ma. That's right, ain't it? Huh, Ma.
That's right. Ma. But then the rest of us, it would be, huh. Exactly. So let's do a quick brief on your thoughts right now on the last, let's say 3 minutes. Who are you? At 81, Vivian V. Parker, who are you?
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of space.
2 minutes, go.
I started. Who am I? Right now at 81, that's skipping from 0 to 80. Now, when I first got married, I was a naive person. I'd never been out of my father's home, raised in a large, and I went from high school graduation in June to married, going to my husband's apartment by that January. I was 18, going to be 19 the following month. So that person, as opposed to who I am now, I feel like my life has been enriched immensely because of my children. A good husband,
Yeah.
a good father who also came from a large family. So he was older. He was 6.5, sometimes 7 years older than me. So, and he'd been in the military and back, and he had different life experiences than I had. So he brought a lot of maturity to the table I didn't have. And God knew probably that I needed to have. And so, oh my gosh, there's so much to tell about that. But
Oh, we can get to
I
it.
feel like
Yeah.
now I am in a place in my life where I feel confidence. That confidence, I tell you, is anchored in the Lord because of all the experience that He brought us through. You look back at all the things that He brought us through. I'm not perfect, but I feel like I have a level of confidence and assurance and comfortability in who I am and gratefulness because who God made my children to be. When I was having a lot of children back in the day, young, one, boom, 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 the first 4 are 14 months apart. And the lower half are like 2 years and maybe 1, maybe 3 years apart. But however, when I was a young mother, some people ridiculed me or just like made light of me for that. Don't you know what causes this? And what? You pregnant again? And all of that. And so my pat answer then was, yeah, they're trying to shame me. Yeah. But I wasn't being shamed because I told them, I have a husband. He is taking care of us. You don't have to.
That's right.
Yeah. And so that's the
You
way I
never
felt.
will.
That's the way I felt. Not that I was like jumping for joy every time I got pregnant, because
That's
there
right.
was some times going like, oh my Lord. But
I
anyway,
know.
we're talking.
Sweet baby Jesus.
But I enjoyed it. There's a lot of times when it was like you have a lot of valleys and a lot of hills, but I basically my thing was I enjoyed those hits.
Yeah.
I
That was a
like
good
putting all
dad.
them
That was a
clothes
good
out to go to
husband.
church. You know,
Yeah.
this is Brent's pile,
Yeah.
from the underwear to the shoes.
Yeah.
This is Greg's pile,
That's
underwear
right.
to the shoes.
That's right.
This is Karen's pile, from the underwear to, and down the line. I shopped at the Goodwill. I knew what the good brands were. We didn't have a lot of money. A lot of our furniture came from Goodwill. I didn't really care. I was not. One of the things I'm going to say, like one of your questions is, my advice to a young woman, a young person, male or female, is don't be a follower. Don't be afraid to be who you are.
That's right.
Don't be afraid to be different.
That's right.
Because as a Christian young woman, that was different to begin. That was different in and of itself.
Yeah.
But an awesome, wonderful life to live, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Today at 81, I've been a widow for 3 years. And I can say I am a happy widow. I had a wonderful life with my husband.
Yeah.
There were ups and downs in that as well. There's nothing perfect, right?
No.
He wasn't perfect. I wasn't perfect. And so I have a thing that I would call maybe a regret, you know, at this point, even in that. But he was a good father. Yeah. We learned a lot. I learned a lot together with him. We were married.
That was good. I mean, for
he
a
was
man,
good.
He was good.
He was good. He was good. Well, so then there's reasons for that in his own bringing up. And family was very important to him.
He was good. He could have turned like so many other ones and just conformed to their childhood or whatever. That was not good.
He was a present father. He was a present father. He was a present husband. And present.
So I was just laughing. We gotta go. I was just saying, I was thinking about when I asked you one time, like, what did dad think of me or whatever? And you was like, well, what do you think he thought of you? Or, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But it was like, what did dad think of me? Because I know I was off the chain, but we have fun together, you know, but it's like, as in, you know, pillow talk, you know, husband and wife, what did he think of me? You know, that's why
he thought you were something else, because we have a little thing that you did. We'll cover some other time when we get to you, that just cracks us up every time we thought about it. And so, but maybe in the future when we get to you,
because when we get to number 8, Right now
But
we're ending. We have to go. Right now we are ending on number 4. We are ending on where she was at 18. The good advice at the just the tip of the iceberg. The good advice right now. And we are talking to my mother, Vivian Parker, which I'm the youngest of 8. And overall, this was a kind of a legacy building thing. I wanted just information about the affirmations and the continuation in the generations for our grandchildren and children, and the message that she has for them. So this is like a plethora, the combination, a combo of all this stuff combined to kind of just get answers and information, and really a recording history and memories on file of my mother and her youngest child and all in between and all that. So right now we've ended on child number
4.
4, Charmin G. Lawson. Well, Parker, but
Charmin
Lawson.
Gail Lawson, right?
You don't want people doing no fraud. Anyway,
Oops.
that's what I'm saying. That's where my privacy comes in. But anyway, it goes. No, her and where my mom was at 18 when she got married and started having kids and all that stuff. I also asked what it was like being my mom, her 8th child, and me being 47 yesterday. And and just different things. So we'll end it right here. We will stop it. And just any last words, any last thing that you want to say?
No, except that I don't know how we thought that we could do everything in one session. It's just no way. It's just no way. It's amazing to me.
What did I tell you? What did I tell? What did I tell you?
I thought.
I told her I lied and told her to give her comfort. We would do this in 4 to 5. But no, wait, 3 to 4. But how many? 5 to 7. We gonna do the series.
Who knows? It's just so awesome.
Mom. I told you. I know.
You told me. You told me.
I did. Anyway, so we will sign off. Praise be to God.
Yes.
For sure. Thank you, Mom. I will see you. Talk to you later. But we definitely will see the audience and the people the next session, and we'll go over that. But next time, you say bye.
Bye from Portland, Oregon.
I know. All right. Bye, y'all. Thank you.